In today's video, we're going to continue our in-depth guide to single origin coffees by having a look at 4 additional origins: Brazil, Ethiopia, Costa Rica, and Rwanda, and compare their characteristics. As we mentioned previously, one of the most exciting things about trying single origin coffee is having the chance to experience unique flavor notes in their most prominent forms. In most blends, tons of flavor notes mix together, making it hard to appreciate any one single note. In contrast, single origin coffees allow for focusing on specific flavors in coffee. In general, single origin Costa Rican and Brazilian coffees are usually a safe bet for those looking for reduced acidity. Rwandan or Ethiopian coffees are excellent choices for those looking for a pronounced acidic flavor. Costa Rican coffee tends to have the lightest body of these origins. For a heavier, full-bodied flavor, single origin coffees from Rwanda or Brazil are great choices. On that note, let's start by taking a closer look at Brazilian single origin coffee. Coffee production in Brazil accounts for 1/3 of all coffee produced on the planet. Although Brazil is known for producing vast quantities of coffee, it's not always been known for producing high quality coffee. In the past, much of Brazil's coffee production has been focused on producing popular coffee and espresso brands, rather than on developing single origin specialty brews. The lack of volcanic soil and the relatively low elevations where coffee is grown means that coffee from Brazil has not been well known for producing high quality specialty coffee beans until recent years. With 14 major regions producing coffee in Brazil, it's not easy to pinpoint a specific taste that encompasses all of Brazil's coffee varieties. However, generally speaking, most coffee grown in Brazil comes from low altitude area and produces a smooth, mild cup of coffee. These lower elevation growing areas produce coffee beans with low acidity associated with sweeter flavors such as nut, caramel, chocolate, and honey. Some popular varieties of Brazilian coffee beans include Cerrado, Cambara, and Bourbon Santos. Cerrado is characterized by low acidity and a nutty caramelly flavor. The flavor is clean with a good body that leaves a creamy feel in your mouth. Cambara has high flavor with notes of rum and raisin, dark chocolate, and tropical fruit. Bourbon Santos coffees are often smooth, nutty, and are sweet in flavor. Bourbon Santos coffee beans are named after the port of Santos in Sao Paulo, where the beans are exported. The mild, balanced flavor renders itself well suited to espresso blends, as it can create dark roasts without producing an overly bitter flavor. Next up, we have Ethiopian single origin coffee. By some accounts, it is believed that coffee was first discovered and cultivated in Ethiopia around the year 700 AD. One such account claims a goat herder known as Kaldi came across his goats acting oddly. They were in fact dancing. After observing the goats, he noticed that they were eating red coffee beans and soon began to suspect that the behavior was related to the consumption of these coffee berries. Other coffee origin stories claim that the goat herder was also a monk and was thrilled to have found something that would help him stay up as he worked and prayed. Some also say that the monk disapproved of the berries and threw them into the fire. However, the fire roasted the coffee beans and created a pleasant aroma. Now, whether any of these origin stories are true or not, Ethiopian single origin coffee makes a high quality cup of coffee. While it's impossible to come up with a description fitting all Ethiopian coffee, most Ethiopian coffees are known for their full, heavy-bodied natures. While enjoying a cup, you can generally expect to enjoy anything from a crisp acidity to a winey flavor or even earthiness. Ethiopia has great growing conditions for coffee. Most of the beans are grown in high elevations in the country's southern mountains, adding to the higher acidity. Ethiopian farmers generally don't have to mineralize or add other chemicals to the soil, as ideal growing conditions already exist. Ethiopia has 2 main types of coffee produced in 3 different regions, with southern Ethiopia being the region where most coffee is grown. Today, most of Ethiopia's coffee is grown by small farms. Ethiopian Yirgacheffe is a common regional type that you'll likely encounter and is located in the Sidanto area. Yirgacheffe is mostly grown at altitudes of 5,800 to 7,600 feet. A cup from this region will normally be smoother, fruitier, and richer and have a more floral aroma than Ethiopian coffee from other areas. Another common regional type is Hura from northeast Ethiopia. Hura is grown in the eastern highlands of Ethiopia, but at a lower elevation than Yirgacheffe. Coffee from this region will generally have a natural mocha flavor. A third common variety is Limu. Centrally located, the flavors of Limu coffee are generally sharper with notes of wine and spiced floral undertones. These varieties aren't the only ones you'll come across in Ethiopia. There are many smaller growing regions within Ethiopia, with each region possessing a different flavor profile. Ethiopia is the largest coffee producer in Africa, and it's a hugely popular beverage within the country itself. In fact, Ethiopians consume about half the country's coffee and export the other half. It is still a product that is produced largely by small farmers and thus makes it incredibly traceable. When you see Ethiopian single origin coffee, you can feel confident you know exactly where it is coming from and what you're putting into your body because of how the market works in the region. Costa Rica is widely regarded as the happiest country in the world, and we'd like to think that their amazing coffee plays a role in that. If any coffee connoisseur were hard-pressed to rank single origin coffees by their quality, Costa Rican coffee would comfortably hold its own against any other origin. In fact, production of non-100% Arabica is illegal according to the country's laws. Costa Rica may not be one of the largest producers of coffee in the world, but quality-wise, Costa Rica holds its own against many other South American countries. Popular coffee chain Starbucks also famously have an extensive network of plantations in Costa Rica. Costa Rica was one of the earliest coffee-growing countries in Central America, with the first coffee beans dating as far back as 1779. The Costa Rican coffee industry then took off thanks to near-perfect climatic conditions. In less than half a century, coffee overtook cacao, tobacco, and sugar as Costa Rica's largest and most valuable export. Costa Rican coffee offers a diverse range of flavors depending on the processing method and the region where the beans were produced. However, you'll mostly get floral or sweet notes, a light to medium body, and a mild acidity. Simply put, if you sample Costa Rican coffee, you're in for a major treat. Aside from the generalized profile mentioned, expect other unique notes depending on region. Among the common single origins, Costa Rican coffee is pretty versatile when it comes to roasting. Whether you decide to go for a dark, medium, or light roast, you can't go wrong with Costa Rican coffee, even if you're a novice. With Costa Rican medium roast, you can expect a pleasant sweetness that highlights the body and the complex flavors of the coffee. Costa Rican dark roast washed beans give you a smooth dark roast that brews well with an espresso or French press. With a light roast, Costa Rican beans have a mild acidity and a clean, sweet taste with fruity notes. Costa Rican coffee is far from a new entrant in the specialty coffee scene. They've been producing premium and eclectic coffee beans for decades. The Central American country enjoys a rich history of high-quality coffee production thanks to the support of the government and ideal climatic conditions. Next up, we have Rwanda, a small scenic country in East Africa which overcame a tough period of genocide to become one of Africa's fastest growing economies. Coffee played a crucial role in that rebuilding effort. The country has now earned a place at the table among highly sought after specialty coffees. In the early 1900s, missionaries introduced coffee to the serene country of Rwanda. But unlike other countries such as Ethiopia or Kenya, the Rwandan coffee industry was far from a fairy tale. Its growth stagnated even after colonialists attempted to exploit the industry by producing low-grade coffee in high volumes. Thankfully, the Rwandan coffee industry is recovering quite well, and in the early 2000s, Rwandan's government initiated programs to encourage coffee farmers to shift their attention to specialty coffees rather than high-volume, low-grade coffee. The favorable climate, high altitude, and high-quality processing methods utilized in Rwanda contribute to a truly superb cup of coffee. Although there's a lot of complexity and variety when it comes to pinning down specific regional profiles, so what exactly makes Rwandan single origin coffee so special? Or more importantly, what are its flavor and aroma profiles? Rwandan coffee is full-bodied with a heavy, syrupy mouthfeel. This full-bodied character is associated with the bourbon coffee variety grown in Rwanda. As far as flavor is concerned, expect bright notes of lime accompanied by fruity or floral flavors. But don't be surprised when you get hints of white chocolate, nuttiness, mandarin, orange, cinnamon, clove, dates, or cantaloupes. The flavor profile is capped off by caramel aftertaste. The acidity of Rwandan single origin coffee is on the higher side with a clean and crisp feel. There you have it, guys. Rwanda's coffee is definitely worth a try. It produces a delicious brew with a heartfelt story behind its origin. From its challenging history, commitment of the country, optimal growing conditions, to high-quality wet processing, the beans deserve a spot of recognition in the specialty coffee industry and your kitchen cabinet. We hope you have enjoyed this video. Don't forget to check out the full article in the description below, as well as hitting the like and subscribe buttons, and we'll see you next time.